Hi, seventh grade. So sorry I can't be with you today, but you are going to be completing this Actively Learn assignment that is going to help you practice and review double number lines and equations. So first, a little warm up to get your brains thinking. Miss Allie made 10 cups of chocolate milk for her daughter over the last 2 weeks. Miss Fours made 50% more cups of chocolate milk than Miss Allie did. How many cups of milk did Miss Fours make? First thing I need you to do is write down what do you notice and what do you wonder about this problem? All right, now that we have figured out what we notice and what we wonder, we are going to solve this problem. So we need to figure out how many cups of milk I made, thinking about what we know about Miss Allie. So let's take a moment to look at this together. So I know that Miss Allie made 10 cups of chocolate milk for her daughter. So my 10 cups is represented right here by the 100%. And I know that I made 50% more cups of chocolate milk than Miss Allie did. So I need to add 50% to this 100% that I have right here, making it 150%. So I know that I made 15 cups of chocolate milk. Back to my mouse here. Oops, there we go. Okay, now it's time for question number 1. The gas tank in Dad's car holds 12 gallons. The gas tank in Mom's truck holds 50% more than that. How much gas does the truck's tank hold? The first thing you need to figure out is which box does the 12 belong in? Box A at 50%, box B at 100%, or box C at 150%. The gas tank in Dad's car holds 12 gallons. The gas tank in Mom's truck holds 50% more than that. So we are looking at the same question. Here is your correct answer. So the 12 belongs in box B at 100% because our original or starting amount is always going to end up in 100%. And we're starting with what we know about the gas tank in Dad's car. Now we need to figure out from here if Mom's truck holds 50% more than Dad's car, which box represents Mom's truck? Is it box A at 50% or box C at 150%? Hopefully you chose box number C as that is the correct placement for Mom's truck. So Mom's truck is at 150% because it is 50% more. And so I want to take the percentage that I started with, 100%, and I want to add 50 to it. And so if I look at my number line, that is right here at 150%. So now I need to figure out how much Mom's car actually holds. Well, I know that it holds 50% more, so I need to figure out what 50% of 12 is. Well, to figure out what 50% of 12 is, I just take 50 and I divide it by 2, because 50% is another way to say 1/2 or dividing by 2. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. So I know that I need to add those two numbers together to get my total. So I need to add 6 plus 12. And when I add 6 plus 12, I end up with 18. So Mom's car holds 18 gallons of gas. There we go. Moving on to question number 2. At a movie theater, the size of popcorn bags decreased 20%. If the old bags held 15 cups of popcorn, how much do the new bags hold? Which box does the 15 belong in? A, B, or C? Take your guess now. If you guessed box number C, you are correct. Remember, our original or starting amount lines up with 100%. So if the old bags held 15 cups of popcorn, then the old bags were our 100%, which is where that 15 belongs. So, which box represents the new bags? Is it box A or box B? Box number B is the correct answer because we decreased by 20%, which means if we are decreasing 20%, we are taking away 20% and we are left with the other 80%. So I know that 100 minus 20 will get me to 80%. So that's why I'm looking for box B. Now I need to solve how much is in the new bags. Give it a try. The new bags contain 12 cups of popcorn. Here's how you can figure that out if you aren't sure. So we know that 100% is 15, which means I could start by finding what is in 20% and counting up from there. So to do that, I know that to go from 100 to 20, I need to divide by 5 because there are 5 20s that fit into 100. So I'm going to do the same thing up top. I'm going to do 15 divided by 5, and that's going to tell me how much is in 20%. And 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. So now that I have 3 here for 20%, I can just count by 3s to get to 80%. So I have 0, 3, we have 6, we have 9, then 12, then 15, and 18 if we were to keep going. So that tells me that 12 represents 80%, which is the amount I'm looking for. Okay, next question. A school had 1,200 students last year and only 1,080 students this year. What was the percentage decrease in the number of students? So your task this time to start is to figure out which box does the 100% belong in. And I numbered or lettered them backwards this time. So is it C over here at 120? Is it B right here at 1,080? Or is it A right here at 1,200? Take a guess. If you guessed letter A, you are correct. Our starting amount is how many students we had last year. So since we had 1,200 students last year, that's where we start at 100%. And then we know that this year we have only 1,080 students. So we have decreased, and we need to figure out what is the percentage decrease in the number of students. Take a guess trying to figure this out, and then I'll go over it. Oops, I skipped a question. Oh my goodness, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, which box represents the students this year? I kind of already gave you a hint. Box B represents the students this year, which I already said 1,080 students this year. Now that you've tried to solve it already, here's how I'm going to solve mine. So I know, let's do pink this time. I know that 1,200 represents my 100%, and I need to figure out what percentages I have here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what am I dividing by to go from 1,200 to 120, because that's going to tell me more about what my bottom dashes are counting by. So if you put into your calculator 1,200 divided by 120, you will get your answer, and you will find out that we are dividing by 10. We're just taking off one of those zeros, which means that my first tick mark represents 10% of what I had. And every tick mark is counting by 10%. So we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So when I get to B, what I'm trying to solve, I realize that I'm at 90% of the students that I had the year before. Now, this is asking me what is the percent decrease of students. So not just the percentage we're at, but how much did I take off? So take a minute to write down your answer and then I will reveal it. So the percent decrease, the amount that we took off from where we started, is 10%. So our answer is a 10% decrease because we started at 100% and we went down to 90%. So make sure you are double checking what the question is asking you before you start answering. All right, question number 4 is switching gears a little bit. For this, we are going to get our brains ready to do some equations. So we just looked at a bunch of double number lines. Now we're going to look at some equations. So here's an example of the first problem done for you, and then you are going to try some of the other ones. So for each problem, state whether you need to multiply by a number more or less than 1. Then find the number you can multiply by. The first is done for you. So I looked at this 100 to 102, and I know if I'm going from 100 to 102, I need to multiply by a number that is more than 1. And in order to find that number, I take my second number, so I take 102 divided by my first number, divided by 100. And when I do 102 divided by 100, I end up with 1.02. So that is my multiplier, going from 100 to 102. Give the next one a try, and then I will show you the answer. Okay, for this next one, we are going from 100 to 106. So if I'm going from a smaller number to a bigger number, I know that I need to multiply by a number more than 1 if I'm trying to get bigger. And to figure out what that is, I do 106 divided by 100, which equals 1.06. Give the next one a try. For the next one, I'm going from 100 to 90. If I'm going from a bigger number to a smaller number, I need to multiply by a number that is less than 1. So anytime I'm getting smaller, I multiply by something less than 1. And that number is 90 divided by 100, which is 0.9. For this next one, we are going from 90 to 100. Since I am getting bigger, I am multiplying by a number more than 1. And the number I'm multiplying by, I find by taking 100 divided by 90, and that equals 1.11, repeating. I know I don't have the little line above it, but the ones go on forever. Last problem. For this question, we are going from 106 to 100. I know I'm going from a bigger number to a smaller number, so I'm multiplying by something that is less than 1. And the number that I'm multiplying by is 100 divided by 106, which equals 0.94. I know the number keeps going, but it's fine if you round it. This is about what it is. Okay. Now that we are thinking a little bit about equations and decimals, we are going to try to match each word problem to the correct equation. So I have 4 equations over here on the side, and I have 2 word problems. The first word problem, the water level in a reservoir is now 52 meters. If this was a 23% increase, what was the initial depth? Take a guess before I share the answer. So to find this, I need to first think about what's happening in my problem. So let's do this nice blue color. There was a 23% increase. So I'm starting at my original or initial amount, which is 100%. And then to that 100%, I am adding a 23% increase. So when I increase it by 23%, I am left with a total percentage of 123%. Now, in these equations, I don't see any percent signs, so I need to think about this 123% as a decimal. And when I think about this as a decimal, it comes out to 1.1. Whoa, that was crazy. Let's get rid of that. 1.23. So I need to choose the equation that has the number 1.23 in it. And if I look here, that is my very first equation. Now that we've used the first equation, I want you to give the second one a try, and then we will talk about it. Oops. Okie dokie. For the second equation, we are thinking about the snow is now 52 inches deep. If this was a 77% decrease, what was the initial depth? So again, I'm going to start by figuring out what is happening with my percentage. So I have a 77% decrease, which means again, I'm starting at 100% and I am decreasing or taking away 77 of those percentages. So what I'm left with is 23% of the snow. So I need to find an equation that has the decimal equivalent of 23%. And the decimal equivalent is just taking this number and dividing by 100, or 0.23. So this is the equation I am looking at. 0.23x equals 52. And there's your answer. So something we are noticing when we do both of these problems is we have our percentage as a decimal in these problems. We see it right here in the first one, the 1.23, and we see it right here in the second one as 0.23. So we have a percentage represented as a decimal. We also have the initial depth, which in both of these cases, we don't know what that is. That's represented by this X. But the initial or starting or original amount is also in our problem. And then the last thing we have is our final amount, or the new part we are interested in, and that is the 52, because the snow or the water level is now 52 when it started as something else. So when we write our equations, we are going to be looking for those three parts, just like it says here. So we are going to write our percent as a decimal. We are going to multiply that percent times the original amount we started with, and that is going to equal the new amount that we are looking for. That's what we're going to use to solve the next 3 or 4 questions. I can't remember how many there are. So here's question number 6. A movie theater decreased the size of its popcorn bags by 20%. If the old bags held 15 cups of popcorn, how much do the new bags hold? Try and write an equation using this formula up here for this problem. Okay. Compare your equation to what I am about to show you. So my percent as a decimal, I'm decreasing by 20%. So if I'm decreasing by 20%, if I'm taking away 20%, the amount that's left over is 80%. And when I write 80% as a decimal, I'm writing 0.8. So I'm taking 0.8, which is 80%, and I'm multiplying that by the original amount. So if I look at the original amount, the old bags of popcorn held 15 cups. So my original amount is 15. And that equals the new bags. You could have picked any letter, a question mark, anything you want really for this. I used the letter Y. So Y is representing my new amount that I don't know yet. Now let's solve it. So looking at this equation, figure out what Y is equal to. Grab a calculator if you need it. When you multiply this out, you should have gotten that 0.8 times 15 equals 12. So Y is 12 cups. The new bags of popcorn hold 12 cups of popcorn. So as you can see, using the equation is another strategy to solve these problems, similar to using the double number lines or the tape diagrams or the tables that we've seen in previous days. Let's try another one. All right, question 7. After a 25% discount, the price of a t-shirt was $12. What was the price before the discount? Try to write an equation for this problem. Here's what your equation looks like. Let's identify all the parts. So to start, your percent as a decimal is 0.75 because we have a 25% discount. So 25% was taken off, and we are left with 75% of the price. So 75% or 0.75 is our percent as a decimal. The original amount, the amount that the t-shirt was originally, we actually don't know. We're trying to figure out what the price was before the discount. So I'm representing that as my variable of y. And then my final or my new amount, we know to be $12 because after the discount, the price of the t-shirt was $12. So that is representing my new amount. Now, try and solve this one for y. You should have gotten that y is equal to $16. How I did that is as follows. If you remember the trick that we've talked about a lot this year, we know that when we have a situation like this where I'm multiplying a number times a letter and I don't know what that letter is, I can work backwards to figure it out. So we can take our answer of 12 and we can divide, do the opposite operation, by the amount we know, which is 0.75. And when you divide 12 divided by 0.75, you end up with 16. So my y is equal to $16. That's how much my shirt was originally. Let's try another one. Question number 8. Ezra reads 60% more minutes this week. Last week, he read for 30 minutes. How many minutes does he read this week? Take a minute to write an equation. Here is your equation. Let's identify all the parts. So, percent as a decimal, we are going with 1.6. Why? Because Ezra reads 60% more minutes this week than last week. So last week is our 100%. If he's reading 60% more, we're adding that on. So we're taking the 100% we already had and we're adding 60% for a total of 1.60. The original amount that he read for last week is 30 minutes. So our original amount is 30, and the new amount that he read for this week, we don't know yet. So our new amount is y. Try and solve this equation and figure out how long Ezra read. When you multiply those together, you should get 48 minutes. So Mr. Ezra read for 48 minutes this week. Let's try one more. Compared to last year, the population of Boomtown has increased by 25%. The population is now 6,600. What was the population last year? Write your equation. All right, let's identify our parts. The percent as a decimal. Boomtown has increased by 25%. So last year was our original population. The population we currently have now is our new population, and there was an increase of 25%. So I used the decimal 1.25 because we are going up, we're getting bigger. I don't know what the initial population was last year. So my original amounts we are representing by y because I don't know what the original amount was. But we do know what the new amount is, the current population, and that is 6,600. Okay, solve this for y. When you use our division strategy, just like we used in question number 7, you can take 6,600 divided by 1.25, and you should end up with 5,280 people in Boomtown last year. Okay. Question number 10 is you are answering these two parts. The first part, what do you notice is the same about double number lines and equations? Answer this now. The second part, what do you notice is different about double number lines and equations? Okay. Now that you have taken some time to learn about double number lines and equations, you are choosing one of the following activities to do next. I will be watching on Hapara to see what you are up to throughout the day. So make sure you are making a wise choice. These are the things you can be working on. If you have missing Zern homework, the semester ends on Friday. So if there's anything you want to get in that you don't have completed yet, now is the time to do so. Check out your grade, see if you're missing homework, work through those missing assignments. You can get ready for your AI presentation. You can, oh, I found a typo. You can complete your long walk to water essay. Let's fix that. There we go. You can continue working on that. If you are in 7.4 or 7.1, you can be working on your Tinkercad Dream Home. You can be on Typing Club. You can be on Brilliance. There are some activity packets on the back table by the turn-in bins. You can grab one of those as well or read a book. But I should not see you on Minecraft. I should not see you on Unblocked Games. You guys know the drill. Please make me proud while I am gone. Okay. I love y'all. We will continue working on this when I get back, so don't be stressed out about it. But please have a wonderful, respectful, and productive class. All right. See you guys soon.